This 2011 Chevy Silverado with the 6-speed had a leaking transmission pan gasket, so I decided to replace the filter in the pan gasket. Pulling the dipstick out, showing you the fluid, not terrible, but getting due. Then I'm going to lay the dipstick right across where the hood closes there, so I don't, as a reminder to put fluid in it. And I initially thought I was going to be able to completely drop this pan without too much trouble, so I regret starting the job not having cleaned the area here, but it ended up being alright anyway. Taking out the 18 pan bolts with my 10mm socket here. The fluid's draining out as I do that. The exhaust pipe routing prevents the pan from clearing the valve body when you're removing it. You're supposed to disconnect and lower the catalytic converter Y pipe, but that's pretty difficult with oxygen sensors and old rusty bolts, but there's enough room to get the filter out just by leaving it there partially in place and lowered in the front. I'd also recommend reusing this sill for the filter up in the transmission. It's metal and rubber and it's hard to get in and out, especially with the pan there, using that method. And then I'm using a fluid pump to evacuate the rest of the fluid in the pan. Then I'm cleaning up the pan and the transmission where the gasket will go. I'll make sure I got all the dirt and grime and everything out of there. Pulling the magnet out, checking it out, cleaning it up. Looks fine. Then I'm cleaning out the pan with a lint-free rag. Make sure it's good and clean. Using my cell phone to look up in there and make sure it's all cleaned out good. Putting in a new gasket. It's a reusable gasket, but since mine had failed, I'm putting a new one on. I'm going with the AC Delco because it's an impregnated gasket and a lot higher quality than just a rubber one you get, with the aftermarket kit. And then putting the new filter in, and then lining up the gasket in the pan and putting a few bolts through it in the corners to make sure that it's going to line up and seal good. And then I'll put in the remainder of the bolts. There's 18 total on this transmission, and tighten them in a crisscross manner, a little bit at a time. And then here I'm doing a final torque check after I torqued them in that crisscross pattern. And then I'm finally cleaning up the pan now that I got it sealed and up into place. Then I'm going to add the approximately 6 quarts of Deck 6 it calls for. I'm actually using a valve line full synthetic equivalent. It's worked well for me, and it's a little cheaper. Start it up to check the fluid level. Have it run in, cycle it through park, reverse, neutral drive with your foot on the brake to fill up those circuits, and then check your level with it running. Look for the dry spot. This is a touch high, but I'm actually going to flush the transmission. This actually is footage post-flush that I'm borrowing. I went straight into a flush after replacing the filter and adding fluid to the pan, but my pan's good, it's not leaking, and that filter replacement is good. Appreciate you watching. Hope you like and subscribe.